Welcome to Smart Parents, Successful Students, the podcast that helps parents like you guide your children toward academic confidence and success. I'm your host, Helen Panos, and I'm here to share expert tips, proven strategies, and inspiring stories that make the journey to school success a little smoother for both you and your student. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smart Parents, Successful Students podcast. I'm your host, Helen Panos, and I have a guest with me. She is my executive functioning coach. Her name is Coach Krystal Dement. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Glad to be back.
I know. I'm glad you're back again. We're doing two of them in this season of funness, which is first semester of school. And as we're actually recording these, school has begun. Hard to believe it's early August this year. But so we're going to talk today about executive functioning and tying that to grit and resiliency. Actually, more specifically, it's parenting with resilience to guide academic growth. I love the term resilience.
Me too.
That's my favorite word. Why we get along so well, Coach.
That's right.
We think alike.
Indeed.
Good or bad, I don't know. So tell us a little bit about yourself again, in case people didn't catch you other times on my podcast, but you can repeat it if you'd like.
All right. Well, my name is Krystal Dement, and I've been an executive function coach since about 2021 now. And officially. And before that, I worked in business management and HR for about 15 years, where I worked with executive function on that level, with employees, with myself, and came up with some really good ways, along with the research that I did, to get around executive dysfunction. And I've found that it's very crucial for our success in life to have these executive function skills. And so when I started doing this, I just found great happiness in it because I was doing something very close to my heart. And so here I am.
Awesome. And your journey to this, tell them some of the things you've done to get you ready to do all this executive functioning, Coach.
Well, I can say that it started with myself. I was diagnosed with ADHD very young, and I'm a little bit on the spectrum. And so things have been very challenging for me. I was a 2E student going through school, and I did very well academically. However, there were other things that were just quite not right. When I graduated high school, I fell flat on my face. And once that structure was removed from underneath me, I had to learn how to be a human being again before I could do anything, really. And so through that process and holding things together with bubble gum, I was able to work my way up. In
literally bubble gum.
Literally bubble gum, right? Sometimes. So I was able to work my way up through business management, and got into HR. And I can thank my grit and determination for that. And so that's why we want to talk about that today, because I couldn't have done it if I didn't have that.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you mentioned 2E. Did they know what that was back in the day?
I don't think so. I really don't. It's when you are exceptional in academia, you have a high IQ, and then also have a developmental delay or, some sort of disability. And so
it wasn't twice exceptional in the school system these days.
Right.
Yep. You could be special ed, you could be gifted. And I was starting to see a lot of that as a gifted lead, actually.
Right. And so it often has its own set of challenges when you're told that you are going to be capable of doing these wonderful things one day, and then not being able to do them because of your executive dysfunction, and how that affects you and your mental health throughout life.
Yeah. I mean, 2E kids they're definitely different. We're talking about one of them actually in my last show with Krystal, where I just interviewed her. We were talking about personalities, and you'll catch that in the other episode if you'd like. So, yeah, they're pleasant but challenging, because it is, you do have to pull out more strategies and try different things. And, people blame school systems for things, but I'll be here to tell you all that's not true, because there's no way, if you had several of these kids in your classroom, let's say, that you're going to be able to deal with that in 50 minutes time slots. And teachers are really not equipped to deal with this stuff at all. By the way,
it's a labor of love, and thank you to all the teachers out there listening for what you do, because you don't get paid enough.
This will definitely have to be our first episode, actually, in my season 14, Coach.
Wonderful. I'll take it.
So we'll praise all the teachers right now, because they're starting off, and this will be probably showing up a couple to 2-3 weeks after school has started in the semester. But let's start with talking about how crucial are grit and determination for middle or high schoolers overall success, and for developing the strong executive functioning skills they need.
So, like I said before, the grit and determination is something that I naturally have, thank goodness, and that my mother taught me. So it's kind of a little bit of genetics and a little bit of watching my mother, but so they're absolutely foundational for success. Okay, far beyond just academics. Mm-hmm. Life constantly throws curveballs, and grit teaches kids to stay in the game, learn from setbacks, and become resilient problem solvers, right? For executive function skills specifically, grit is a fuel. A student might know how to plan or manage their time, but it's grit that helps them stick to that plan when it gets tedious, push through mental fatigue, and use their working memory and resist impulses to give up when the task is hard. Mm-hmm. Without grit, EF skills remain underdeveloped or inconsistently applied, especially as school and life demands grow. So this determination, if you just say, I'm tired, I can't, or this is boring, I can't do this, that's not necessarily true. You just have to take a little bit of suffering to get through it. And that's the reality of it. And
that's a good way of putting it.
Reality, because when you have ADHD, it is suffering to do something tedious. And so when you normalize that there is suffering in everyday activities in a way, that then you can start to understand, and your children can start to understand, hey, it sometimes takes that to be able to get through to something. And if you stop too soon, then you're not going to get there. And you're not going to learn what you need to learn. And so many students are like, well, I have ADHD, I can't do this, and it's an excuse. And that's not right, because we have ADHD, we know we have ADHD, and now we can use the science and the research and everything to help us to push through. But
a lot more stuff they know now than they
ever did. A lot more stuff that they know now about how to get through this. And a lot of it is through executive function coaching and the skills that we can teach, because you're not going to learn those skills on your own unless you have that grit and determination yourself. And so teaching that grit and determination is part of it. It's like, hey, push through, just try a little bit harder. And I've had so many epiphanies when I'm like, I think you give up too early.
Yeah.
I think you're giving up too early. I think you're selling yourself short. You're underestimating yourself.
Yep.
Is what I tell people, because they are capable of so much more, but they don't realize it. And especially in 2E students, where they're like, well, I just can't do it because I'm watching everybody else so easily following a calendar or time management, and so easily organizing, and so easily making all of these friends and doing this and that. And it's like, hey, guess what? You have executive dysfunction. It is going to be a little bit harder, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to get around it. We're in the water. You may as well learn how to swim.
Yeah.
And so I think, that this topic is so crucial in understanding that we have to just bear down and just do what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. How can parents show true resilience in ways that positively affect their child's success during these times in this age group? Because they probably may not know how to do that. I know you mentioned it's probably some genetics, but you said your mom modeled it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can you give any examples maybe on, because I think my mom did too.
Right.
I'm trying to think back. I think I like cells because I watched my mother, something simple. During church hours or right after church in the hall, she would help with these bake sales and things like that we were all a part of, let's say, in our youth groups. And she was really good at selling. And I think I just observed that and just watched her technique, I assume. I mean, what do you think parents can do to show true resilience in ways that would help these children, their children?
So the first thing and the most important thing, and I'm going to use my mother as an example, fantastic on this note, was emotional regulation. Because so many things and so many unexpected and unfair things happened to mom that we witnessed. And she transmuted that and just got up and brushed her shoulders off and said, let's go. We can't stop. We can't just give up. We have to just keep going, and you're going to make mistakes. And I make mistakes every day. And she was very open about it. It's just very,
instead of hiding it,
using
it as an example to show how to, I guess, succeed and resolve issues
as a learning experience. She would acknowledge it and process that frustration with us, talking through it with us, and asking what now instead of why me. It's like we just have to, yes. And she shed her tears. She showed that we have emotions and that emotions are okay. But you also have to do a little damage control, and you have to make sure that you're not affecting everybody else around you so negatively that they can't function as well. Right. And so I think one of my favorite things that she told me was, if you're having a really bad day, just put on a little mascara and lipstick, because it's a lot easier when you look in the mirror and you feel a little better about your appearance. She's like, just put on your lipstick and go, and so I've taken that to heart as well too, making sure I get my eyelashes done and things, when I'm feeling down. Like that's the one thing I make sure that I do, because it makes you feel better about yourself. Not only that, but also you actually look when you have less makeup on, at least I do, I look tired, and people are going to bring it up, and I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to move forward, And so framing setbacks as temporary and specific, not permanent failures, is another one. So we're normalizing it. These are things that happen to everybody. Now, do they happen to people with executive dysfunction more so? Absolutely. So that statistic we were talking about earlier, where somewhere on the internet, and I don't know how they would, calculate this, but it holds true. I can tell you, is that kids with executive dysfunction or ADHD are 20,000 times more reprimanded and corrected than children without. And so what you have is somebody who keeps trying their hardest to do something, right? Yet they still are failing, even though they continue trying. And so more so does somebody with executive dysfunction need grit and determination. If they don't have that grit and determination, or if they're, unable to have somebody show it to them, or, create it themselves, they end up with something that's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, where they have been rejected so many times that now they become anxious whenever they do something. And there's also perfectionism that comes out of that, and a little bit of OCD, and other anxieties come out of that. And it negatively affects their self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And so just knowing that, hey, you struggle a little more, it's okay. People don't quite understand, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to ask for help.
Right.
So, and doing that, through modeling that behavior is the best way to do it, because they know, like, that's how mom does it. I've seen it work.
Right. Yeah. That's really interesting. Is there anything else you want to add about grit and resiliency and parents helping children with that? Because that's not going to happen in schools.
Right. Yeah, it's
maybe the opposite, unfortunately.
It's really, like I said, just being optimistic, and explaining the way through it, modeling it within yourself, and taking that to whatever level you can take it to, showing that that's what it takes to succeed in this world. Sometimes you just have to continue, just walk through the fire for a minute. And I mean, that's true in any situation, that anybody goes through in life, traumatic situations. Sometimes you just got to walk through the fire. It's going to burn for a minute. You're going to have some time to heal afterwards. But the reality of it is that you're getting through it. And when you come out on the other side, you will heal. And I think a lot of people give up way too soon. And I can think of one specifically, a young adult that I was working with that had just gone into college. They gave up very quickly when they didn't pass those first classes in college, because they didn't realize it was because of their executive dysfunction. They thought, well, this just isn't right for me, right? And so they gave up. But the reality of it is that, do you want to to achieve your dreams? Do you want the outcome of your life? You're going to have to bear down and take a little bit of heat for a second. And it's the way that life is. And so we coddle and we hold and we helicopter, and we want to make sure that they have the best possible outcome, and not see any type of pain or suffering in this world. And the reality of it is there's going to be pain and suffering. We just have to teach them how to get through it.
Right. I agree. And if they have to get outside help, that's what we're here for. Or there's therapists out there. There's all kinds of outside resources. And, parents may not be the one that they're going to listen to.
Right.
It might be best to pick a person outside of the family to do it.
Nobody listens to their parents.
Right.
Nobody. My kids don't listen to me.
Yeah, that's correct.
I have to hire somebody for my kids. They don't listen to me.
Yeah.
So
I hear this all the time. And I do want to say, when they hit a roadblock in school, whether it's academics or it's, friendship, social, whatever it is, that, you want the door to be open for them to come to you and talk to you or the other person in the family, the spouse or whoever, or a certain aunt or uncle, somebody they feel the most comfortable with, so that they will come and express it, because that's what you want them to do, so that you can then help them to resolve it, to look at it, to dissect it, so that then builds the resiliency, which then, helps with academic growth, and they can move on, because they're going to hit roadblocks in college as well. They're going to hit roadblocks in high school. A lot of kids are taking dual enrollment, advanced placement classes, all kinds of things that we weren't even doing back in the day. So they've got a lot more on their shoulders. I will say that for sure.
Right. They do. They have a lot more expected of them than we did when we were younger.
A lot more competition, for things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could say that about our own businesses, right, Krystal?
Right. Oh, yeah.
There's executive functioning coaches out there, and then there's a lot of tutoring companies out there. But we
Mm-hmm.
know we're pretty resilient. We understand how we stand out above the rest. And
Right.
that's kind of what you have to instill in your own children is if they're being bothered by people at school, or, maybe their friends are making A's, but they can only make B's. Well, but that might be okay because that's what you can do.
Right.
I had a sibling that was making C's. I was making the A's, and I don't think that really bothered him. And in the end, he's actually, I'd say, monetarily more successful than I am. So,
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of just being happy, I think, with yourself and knowing you tried your best and you didn't
Mm-hmm.
give up. And that's what we need to instill in children in this day and time, because the world is getting different for sure. And we really don't know what it's going to look like even 2-3 years down the road right now.
Right.
So even more so that I think this topic is extremely important.
Absolutely. I actually have another example, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I was just talking to a client about this day before yesterday, and she had taken an internship. And in this internship, she's a very leadership type of personality. Okay. She takes initiative. She loves to help people. And so she was doing things that were above and beyond in this internship position, and received a very nasty letter from the manager, it was very inappropriate. However, she wouldn't have known this if she hadn't asked for help about it. So this is my point, is that she reached out and she said, I don't understand. She goes, I thought I was going above and beyond, and I was doing, things that I thought were very helpful, but apparently they weren't. And she was told that she was going to lose her internship if she continued her behavior.
Wow.
Right. And so to me, working in HR, I'm just like, okay, that's bad management.
Right.
I would like to talk to her, but I can't do that. But, you do something else with a person that has that type of brain. You don't just say, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to explain to her that even though these things are above and beyond, what they had asked you to do is very important. And, it's that person's reality. They had asked you to do something, and you spent your time doing something else, and then also that thing, but they wanted you to do more of the thing they asked.
Right? That's typical.
Right.
Of a job.
It's like I tried to go above and beyond, and now I'm in trouble. What's happening? And I said, well, you're going, and she had come to me saying, I need help with resilience. That literally is what she'd asked me, because it had made her very upset.
Interesting.
So she went to her parents and asked her parents and talked to her parents about it. She talked to her coach and said, how do I deal with this? And I said, you say, I don't know exactly what I did to make you feel this way. And, when you go in the next day, ask exactly what you want that or what that person wants of you. Say, can you be very specific and tell me what it is you need me to do today?
Wow.
And just move on from that. And, that what that shows is that person understanding that it was okay to reach out and ask for help with these types of things. And it actually relieved the anxiety and stress that she had when she realized actually the manager's reaction was a bit inappropriate.
Right.
It was.
And some people are more sensitive too. That's one
right.
thing we have to know about our children too.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the personality, which is what we talked about in the other episode, is about personality. But some people may take something being said to them too much at heart, and then they can't function and be academically strong, or maybe, be productive the next day in this job that Krystal was just talking about. Because you got to really just kind of shake it off and move on. But everybody can't just shake it off immediately, right?
Right.
That takes some skills.
when you lead with your heart like that, you're going to think with your heart first, and then the logic comes around later.
Right.
And it's going back to personality, it's understanding that the logic is coming. and that you need to not make any rash decisions based upon how you're feeling in that moment was the other part of that.
Right. That's
and so it was a very valuable lesson. And, you know, we both agreed that we were glad it happened younger in her life than, you know, that she got to learn that early.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Because as teachers, we would get emails or whatever that where some parents may not speak very nicely about a situation. And then, you know, we always told as leaders and mentors, we'd always say, just sit on that. Do not respond immediately to the parent about a situation, whatever it is. And wait, you've got 24 hours anyway. I want you to sleep on that.
Yes.
Before you respond to it. Because right now you're not very happy about the way they wrote it. And it may have really nothing to do with you. It might be their personality and the way they wrote it. So, yeah, that's very important lessons to learn, which somehow I think these have gotten all lost over the years.
Somehow, yeah, we keep coming back to it. It's like sleep on it. That we've heard that forever. You know, but sleeping on it is very important. Taking a step back and giving yourself time to really process what's going on and challenge your negative thoughts towards it is something that takes strength. It takes skill. And so, and also understanding, you know, for those of us who are less sensitive, understanding that there are a lot of people that are like that. Right. And then the people who are sensitive, understanding that there are a lot of people that don't do that. That think they think logically before they think with their heart. Right. Yeah. So, well, this was a really great episode. And by the way, we do help adults with executive functioning and some of these issues we're talking about. I think Krystal just gave you an example of that. And we do help children, 6th through 12th graders. Reach out if you'd like to have a free conversation about anything that's happening. And you're seeing it. Just recently, I had somebody that reached out to me and they realized their child, their senior, has a lot of boundary issues. And it's affecting them overall. I mean, that goes back to academics and not being able to concentrate on their schoolwork. So we are not therapists, but we can handle quite a bit. And if we can't, we know where to kind of suggest you go next. And I'm sure Krystal does that all the time. She probably has a bunch of resources already. And so do I. Yep. When you're doing these kind of things for several years, you get a group of people's phone numbers and people you've met that are great people to reach out to. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And those of you that have started school, great semester. And Krystal, thank you again for your time. So great. Very deep, but very good and needed. Yes, I'll go there. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye for now. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Smart Parents Successful Students podcast. If you found today's episode insightful, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out our YouTube channel for even more tips to help your student thrive. Until next time, keep guiding your children towards success.